Hello everyone and welcome to Reconnecting with Yourself podcast. And I am so happy to announce that I'm here with a woman that I call my soul sister and also my therapist. You are one of the few people that have changed my life a lot. You have helped me a lot with my trauma, and I believe that I would not be in this position I am in today if it was not for you. So I'm truly grateful and super happy that you're here today. So please introduce yourself.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Okay. Welcome, everyone. My name is Sabine Poncelet. As you mentioned already, I'm a transpersonal regression therapist. I'm also a soul healer. Among all of these, I'm also a natural animal communicator and intuitive, I would say, like that.
Yeah, I think for people listening, when you say this is a therapist, they automatically think you're just a regular therapist, which is not the case. Like how you work, Sabine, how is that different from a regular therapist?
The way I work is linked to the numbers of studies I have done and all the methodology, all the techniques I have learned through my life. I'm also a life coach, certified life coach. I've learned theta healing. I've learned shamanism. I've learned hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
I cannot name it. I've learned many things in my life. Then with time, I finally started to combine different techniques, methods to develop mine to help people to come back on track and feeling whole again.
Yeah, I think when we first met all those years ago, which we will get more into on another episode of how we decided to work with each other from the beginning for our own soul's growth. But on one particular time, I came to you with an issue, initially thinking we would be doing our normal therapy sessions together. We were just talking, and had you not mentioned that you were doing soul healings in a different entry point to how I do soul healings, I would never have known it back then. And I thought, how does this work, There's no way that this actually works, but I'm so curious. I wanted to give it a try and think as well, when people are in a state or just they want help and can't see a way out, that they'll try anything, So I was like, okay, let's, just try. So next time that I came to you, I booked for a soul healing. And I remember you told me and you said, if you lay down and I start working on your head, it will start to hurt because you work with energy, right? So with the energy work on the soul, I was basically laid down and I don't know what you did, but I was like in my head, like you told me I would start to feel a headache and that's normal. I did dismiss it, to be honest. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm not going to feel a headache. That's not true. But then as I lay down and your head started, I actually started to feel a headache. So I was like, oh my God. You also told me there'd be purging for 3 days after. And as your body starts to purge, you feel emotional or even physical purges. And then you said you may feel much better, like you'll feel lighter, and you also told me what you worked on. And it was true what you did. For those 3 days, I actually felt much lighter and I felt much better afterwards. I felt I had more focus and I was like, wow, this is amazing. You also mentioned how it complements transpersonal regression therapy and that soul healing is usually a good starting point in someone's healing journey. And as we both know, the transpersonal regression is unique and powerful for deep healing. I can honestly say that this is the most amazing thing I have ever done for my trauma. So I think we should just do a whole podcast only on that because this is really interesting. And I think if a lot more people knew about it and how it could help many people, so yeah, it'd be a good idea for another time. Though for now, sadly, this is not that episode. But we're talking about something else now. I think the whole reason I created my business and started everything on Facebook is because I have been in the situation myself where I felt depressed and helpless, more so from the car crashes back then. I didn't have enough money either to go to a therapist or to afford anything else apart from physio to help me walk again. So for like a few years, I was in severe depression, and then I helped myself out of it by changing my mindset, doing a lot of different things and modalities. And then when I got into a better financial situation, I could afford a therapist like yourself. although I talk to different people, and I feel like I'm so passionate about my therapy to followers, I am also aware that not everyone is privileged to afford therapy. So I think with our podcast, that's the whole main goal, is like giving people that cannot afford therapists, like the advice we got, so yeah, that's why I'm doing this with you right now. And I think in this episode, I would love to talk about depression and how do I resonate so much with this subject, like yourself, because first of all, I've injured myself and I know how hard this can be. Like only a couple of months ago, I was sitting in a coffee shop, having a coffee and working on my laptop, and there was a client who I've not seen in a long time. And she came over to me and she was like, "Hi, Sharon." And that she just wanted to come over and thank me for helping her, since she came for a few sessions at the time. She came in, she was feeling depressed and wasn't in a good place at all. And she said she just wanted to come over and thank me. And she says, "Sharon, you don't realise I would not be here today if it wasn't for you." And then I was like, before started crying, because I was at work and this is amazing, Like it made me realise, firstly, the impact that you have, and secondly, how you can make a difference for someone's life. And then after the client, on another occasion, another guy from the homeless centre I work in, he came over to me in the street and he basically told me, "Do you remember me?" and how I was about to take my life. And when he came into the centre that day, "You ran my bars for me?" And I said, "Yes, I remember." And I told you, like afterwards, I'm not going to do it. And thank you, I'm in a much better place than before. I've had so many more feedbacks, but this just made me realise like how severe this issue is in today's society. And I would like to ask you about it. And like, do you know what you think depression is? And have you ever experienced it yourself?
Okay, let's start from the beginning. What depression is, they have different level, first of all, in depression. They have a form of depression when, for example, your best team lose the match, let's say the World Cup, and you say, "Oh, I'm feeling depressed because that country didn't win." Okay, this is not a real depression. It's a moment of depression. People need to understand that they have different stages, and that's where it's important. This, let's say, it's one stage, which is not really a depression. It's just a moment you are sad, can go a few days. But then they have another stage where the real depression can start, is when you have accumulated emotion, repressed emotion. Often can happen after a trauma. And again, trauma has different level by itself. A trauma can be light or heavy. When I say light, can be the example of a little child that the mom said, "Okay, your first day at school, I will be with you." And then she has a very important meeting. If she doesn't go, she's losing her job, guaranteed. But the child doesn't see things like that. And that's the dad who goes at school and he's like, "Oh my God, she abandoned me. She doesn't love me anymore." And la, 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 la. This is a trauma for the child, because maybe that child was much more sensitive than another one. Another one, "Okay, that's dad, is fine, Then this can lead with time. If that specific child who is very, very sensitive, it can lead to depression when he will become an adult, not only because one of that situation, let's say the mom repetitively is doing stuff like he's feeling abandoned, he's feeling neglected, and then maybe something else is happening at school, or he's bullied or abused, let's say like that, by someone outside the school. Then you can, not guaranteed, but you have many chances that that child will go in a very, very deep depression at the adult age. Now you have another stage where people accumulate things and they repress the anger. Because depression can be called also as anger turned towards you, because you cannot express. the society is telling us, okay, you are angry, but that's not polite. You cannot shout in front of everyone. You cannot do that face. You need to smile. You need to wear a mask and all that BS. You know what it means, BS. Then that person in that situation will turn the anger inwards and maybe will face many, many challenges in life. And one day it's too much. It's like the cup is full. And it's when the cup is full, in general, that people are going in a deep, deep, deep depression. And it turns sometimes to very bad thought about, I'm ready to take my life. I don't want to stay here anymore. I want to die. Or when someone is dying, I had cases in my client, someone died and they want to go with that person because they cannot cope with the situation. Then the advice I want to give to people is when you go to that stage, no matter where is the stage, well, maybe not the World Cup because it's just feeling depressed. It's not a real depression. Go to seek help. The bad things, I would say, is the family. And I will tell you why, because I passed by. That's difficult for me to say that today, but you feel my emotion in my voice. But I'm ready to say it. I've been 5 times in that situation where it was a very deep depression. I was under treatment, very heavy treatment, anxiolytic and all the stuff, but was not sufficient. And I decided to take my life 5 times. 2 times was really, really deep. I was at the hospital, not in coma, but intensive care, that they didn't know if I will come back. You know, I have to say this now. What is making me emotional today is because who I am today. I'm not the same person, you know. And it's not difficult for me to go back because I can tell you I'm fully healed from that. And never I had that thought anymore after I healed completely. But I will explain the stages of healing too. Where I'm very emotional, it's many people are knowing me as Sabine, very joyful and everything. They are very far away to imagine what I passed through. And it seems like unbelievable, impossible. But I'm here today to tell you I'm out of the grave. I was somehow with 1 foot in the grave, my head too, let's say like that. And I came out of the grave. This is the most important things to understand, and I'm here to testimony that, yes, it's possible. Even after 5 tentatives that failed, let's say like that, and I'm very happy that I failed at that time, it's possible to heal. It's a disease, let's say like that, but it's like invisible disease, and it's mainly because we don't speak enough. We have been taught to eat, to bury our emotions. When we want to speak, the family doesn't understand, and that was my case. This is why I went so deep in my depressions with S, let's say like that, because family was not able to understand. You speak to your friend, they're like, "Wow, it will pass, that's not important." But they don't know the suffering you hide behind. Because in my case, depression didn't come early. It came, the first one at the age, the biggest one, at the age of 28 years old. And I want to emphasize this because many people don't realize that a depression is not falling from the sky from one day to another. It's taking a long, long time sometimes before it's manifesting. Before you are sad and then you go ups and down. But it's still like the invisible things at the back of your mind that is following you wherever you go. And that's the big problem with depression. This is why it is very, very important to speak with a professional. I've been followed with many different professionals, from the general medicine doctor to the psychiatric doctor. I changed psychiatric doctor many, many times. And finally, I found a good one because they kept me closed into a clinic in Germany. That was the last one where I've been, where they knew they fail or they succeed with me, but if they succeed, I'm saved forever. Let's say like that. And I stayed in that clinic 6 months, 8 months, I don't remember exactly. Other clinic was 1 month here, 2 months there, la la la. And I know all the psychiatric hospital from Luxembourg where I was living at that moment. And they decided to send me in Germany because that was the only clinic in the region that was specialized for deep depression. Others, they were treating drugs addicts, alcoholic, everything together in the same service, which was a problem because I was a depressed person. I was not addicted to anything. Now, let's come back to where you need to pay attention because depression can come from one day to another in a way that it was there behind you and you think it's coming from one day to another, but it was hidden. It's starting in general with a trauma or accumulated trauma. In my case, it was a collection of trauma. Let's say I'm born in a family that is very dysfunctional. And at the age of 4 years old, my mom was giving me a broom to beat my father because my father was beating her. And they had blood everywhere. This is an image that I'm still remember today. And it took me a long time to heal from that. Then when you start life this way, with a mother who is falling pregnant at 16, didn't want you, and oh, la, 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 you accumulate everything. I was already an angry girl. But because my parents' divorce, I was 5, was a new shock, new trauma. Then I was already with few trauma at the age of 5. I'm growing. My mom was really dysfunctional by herself. She met a guy, she was in love, I felt rejected, blah, blah, blah. New trauma accumulated one after another. Then the biggest one arrived. I was 12 years old. And I've been abused while I was drunk. He gave me alcohol. Anyway, I will not enter in detail. And then he said, I wanted that. Anyway, that's a story that I will not enter in detail because now that's not the point for the people who are following us. But if you look back already, I have an accumulation of many trauma. That one ended up in front of the police where he convinced me to say, no, I wanted that. And the police guy was looking at me. I was 12. He said, are you sure? No, you didn't want. I said, yeah, I wanted. Imagine how brainwashed I was. But then time passed. And I realized, I was like, why I've been lying like that? Why I've done this? But this is when people manipulate you. And I was young then. Okay, time passed. I started to consume a lot of alcohol hidden, started to smoke and everything. Of course, you are not balanced. Let's say at that moment, when you have accumulated trauma after trauma, your soul is broken. You have lost many parts of your soul. Your wholeness doesn't exist anymore. And the point of healing, entering into a healing journey, is to come back into wholeness. Today I can say, I'm whole again. I'm feeling complete. I achieved my wholeness. And the proof is I can speak about this without any problem. The only emotion I have is because people who knows me don't know that story. I'm just revealing like bomb, big bomb, for some people who even are close to me. But others, they will be shocked, and forgive me for that. But I had to reveal one day, and I decided that was today to say the truth to each and everyone. And I encourage every person who passed by any difficult situation, either the trauma is light, either the trauma is heavy, everyone is different. Everyone has a different sensibility, and it's very important to speak. But family is not always the good way. I mean, the good door to open. Better to go to see a professional. That's my advice. Now, when I was speaking about accumulated trauma that leads to a very, very deep depression in my case, and that finally depression was not enough somehow because I was constantly thinking of dying, thinking of what I'm doing here, why I'm here. I have nothing to do here. I was not happy. I was angry. And my feeling was nobody loved me. Otherwise, why all that stuff would happen to me, Then, after that story with the police where I've been abused and everything, where I said, no, it's not true. I wanted, and I was drunk. I didn't want, of course. Time passed. And I'm okay for a while, but then I meet my future ex-husband. And I had a child with him, which is my daughter today. I developed vaginismus for years. I still don't know how I got my daughter. Because vaginismus is a condition, you cannot enter a finger even. It's impossible. That's crazy. And I wanted to heal, but because I lied, because I had to return this anger to me, because I had to hide what happened to me. And I was like, yeah, that's right. It happened to someone else. It didn't happen to me. I wanted that. But my body was saying the opposite. My mind deleted, but my body was like, no. It was true. It happened, Then, because I developed that condition, it means my body was already speaking to try to expulse all the stuff from that abuse, let's say like that. Gynae, psychiatric already at that time, physiotherapist, everything I've tried. One looked at me and said, have you been raped? I'm like, no, never. No, I'm fine, never. Abused? No. Molested? No, never. I was convinced that this didn't happen to me. Of course, I had no chance to heal that way because I was in full denial. And this is important to understand for the people who are listening now. Please stop to denial. I know it's difficult. I know it's the most difficult time in your life is admit it. This happened to me. Yes. Admit it that, yes, I'm suffering. Oh, yes, I have anger. Or yes, I have that type of emotion. Most of the time, no, I'm fine. I see people in the street say, you seem very angry. What is happening to you? I'm fine. No. And I was like that. All my teenager time, I was a very angry girl. And everyone was telling me, I'm like, no, I'm fine. Look, I was lying to myself for many, many years. Then, of course, vaginismus stays. They tried everything. Nothing was working. We were trying gel, exercise with a finger and everything when I was going to the doctor. Believe me, it was horrible because it's humiliating also. It's a shame for women anyway. Long story short, finally I fall pregnant. I got my daughter. After that, something happened that I was more open and I could have intimacy in a good way, let's say like that. Before was really, wow. Time passed. I have a good life for a while and I continue to repress my emotion and I pretend that everything is okay because I have a baby, I'm happy, blah. One day, I don't know what is happening. I wake up and I realize that I didn't love my husband anymore. I didn't come from one day to another. They had stuff behind, which I will not explain here. But I was like the cup was full. And it's time, I can't because of this happening and there and here, blah, blah, blah. I arrive at the point, oh my God, I don't have any feeling anymore. What is going on to me? Then I start to depress, but deep down, at that moment, the worst happened. My father entered into the scene, who disappeared for many years, by the way, because total in my life for 25 years, my father refused to speak to me for a story with my mother. just BS again. Anyway, one day maybe we will have the occasion to go deeper and I will explain the relationship daughter-father that I had, and it can serve also for many people. And my father is there. He offered me an equipped kitchen because we bought a house, okay? He's doing the transformation in my house. He's paying for that, and I have a beautiful life. But when I say I'm divorcing, I need a kitchen. Excuse me? I'm taking the kitchen back. Say, Dad, we sell the house and we need to cut in 2 parts. That's the law. No, I will take my kitchen. I say, no, it cannot work like this. Then it entered into a deep fight where I had finally to choose between my future ex-husband and my father, two men in my life. Because otherwise, maybe 20 years later, my daughter would say, hey, my father is on the street because of you. What have you done? And this came into my mind, and I was like, wow, I cannot choose. It's impossible. I entered in a very, very big and deep depression. I could not even wake up in the morning. I could not take care of my daughter. My mom, luckily, that time was behind me. And she said, okay, come at home, put your daughter at the father place, and I will take care of you. And for the first time, she stood up and she said, you need to make a choice. You cannot stay like this. You will die if you continue like that. And I was like, yeah, but I can't. I can't make a choice between two men in my life. This is impossible. And that's when all the stuff is starting, where I've attempted to my life for the first time. Somehow she felt, because she's the one who saved me with my ex-husband today. They came together at home. I was alone that night, and all was coming back. All my life was like a movie coming back, including that abuse time and all the accumulation, the fight between my parents and everything. I was like, oh, I was suffocating. I could not cope with, and it's a fraction of a second, done, finished. I had to leave. What I have to do here, finished, done. And if you ask me if I premeditate that, I would say no. No, because I came back from work at 6 p.m. My daughter was not there that day, and I took a glass of wine, fine, because I was already depressed and, was helping at that moment anyway. And then a bottle, and then all the box of medicine that I could find. And my mom called. And I still had the courage at that time to take the phone and push on, but I couldn't speak. I was already somewhere else. Then she came, hospital, whatever. They clean your stomach with special product, blah, blah, blah. And I thought I was fine after that. Oh, let's go. And I've made the decision to go to the court with my ex-husband and say to the court that my father has made a false invoice for more than 1 million euro because he was in fight with my ex-husband and he wanted to destroy my ex-husband. That was a story between them, by the way, but I was in the middle. At that moment, my life is starting again to go in a good way, and I moved because I was fed up about Belgium. So I need to change my life. I moved in Luxembourg, and because I was in finance, that was the opportunity of my life. Let's say like that. I arrived in Luxembourg. Everything is fine. Everything is good. Then, because I feel good, I call my father and I said, listen, I'm sorry what I have done going to the court, but you have done bad things, blah, blah, blah. And for him, I had also to save my daughter because I don't want that he's finishing in the street because we took all his money from the house, He said, what I see, you are like a big ball that I carry on my feet. Bye. And he hung up the phone. Wow. New trauma, but I was denial. This doesn't exist, And my life continued until I met someone else. And that someone was again a big trauma because he was alcoholic. He was a womanizer. He was bringing women at home. I'm laughing today because I healed that too. Otherwise, believe me, I would not be here. And in addition to that, that guy was beating me when he was drunk. The year of my mom died in 2008. I have to grieve for my mother. I'm fully depressed. I end up again, I attempt my life again, let's say like that. I end up at the hospital. Then I started to feel guilty because I considered this was my fault that I chose that man. I've made a big mistake. And time is passing, etc. I have to deal with the death of my mother because behind her she leaves my sister, 18 years old, and my brother, 16. They were from another father, and that father died 4 years ago, before her. She died from a heart attack. Nobody, was planning that. then I don't grieve. Because I said to myself, okay, you need to be strong. Again, I enter into another denial, Every denial was stronger all the time. I became somehow professional in denying my emotion. I was going to work because I was a finance manager. Mask, total mask. And I was so talented at this because I was doing this since years. But really, please don't do that. Because I've been forced somehow to do this because my family was not ready to hear what I had to say. Many people, including uncle, grandmother, grandfather, whatever in the family to whom I wanted to speak about my trouble, oh, you are weak, stop your BS. Then you don't want to speak anymore when you get an answer like that. This is why I insist so much. Don't go to the family because they will be involved. Sometimes they are too sensitive and then they wear a mask too and it's becoming worse. Really, go to see a professional. That's the mistake I have done, speaking to the family only. And some friends, but I was a teenager at that time, they could not understand. Adult time, I didn't trust anyone, of course, after that story, how you can trust people. And then, when it's ending up with that guy, being beaten and all the stuff, one night I did again the same. But that was the last one and the worst one. Between I had others, but they found me before, I was unconscious all the time, but they found me. Thanks God, today, because it wasn't meant to be, And the last one, I ended up into intensive care for, I think, 72 hours, something like that. They didn't know if I would come back. And when I woke up, the psychiatric doctor was in front of me. I will never forget, it was a woman. I had men before all the time. And she looked at me and said, oh, my little one, la la la. She was so sweet. And I felt the love from her. For the first time, I could feel the love. She had a lot of compassion. And she said, why have you done this, la la la. And she started, to speak with me. And I looked at her and said, please, leave me alone. Soon I leave that hospital, I would start again. Nobody can prevent me to do that because I don't want to stay and I have nothing to do here. I'm at the stage where I want to go and now please leave me alone, go back to your work and just give me a discharge. I will leave that hospital and soon I'm out. I'm starting again. Then, for her was like, wow. Then she called others. They gave me medicine. They made me sleep for a while. And then she said, we need to transfer her. And we need to implement something very specific. And that's the moment where I've been taken in charge correctly. Because before that, what they were doing, they wash your stomach. I don't remember the name, it's charcoal or something, whatever. And they speak with you, and you just have to pretend that you are fine. Because that's what I was doing. Because I was a professional in denial, Then I was like, yeah, it's okay, I will never start again, blah, 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 blah. But in my mind, I was so sad. I was like, you don't understand. Because many psychiatric doctors were quite cold in their approach. And that's also an issue into the medical field. Humanity is missing. Compassion is missing. You have only one doctor who look into your eyes with love. It's not difficult. You don't lose your job or you are not a bad doctor because you do that. Or you show a bit of compassion or you make the person feeling loved. Only 3 seconds, not more. That's what happened to me. And I was like, wow, this is a big change. But before that, I had people, okay, you seems good, boy. You can go back home now. Huh? We will give you a box of this, a box of that, anxiolytic here, la 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 la, prescription. Say, okay, I have the stock to start again. That's what I had in mind. I was crazy, believe me. When I look at myself, I say, wow, I'm another person. But I went through a long journey of healing. After I met that special psychiatric doctor, let's say like that, they said, you stay here, you don't go out. We will take care of you. They kept me in Luxembourg for, I think, 4 months, something like that, in that psychiatric hospital. Then they organized with another psychiatric doctor that I will go in Germany because they took information. That's the difference in the last one. The first one didn't take information, the second two, the third one too, the fourth one too, because I said 5 times. And from the moment they realized that I've done almost all the hospital in Luxembourg, because it's a small country, they were like, no, she will not go out. But that person had a lot of compassion. And then when I arrived in Germany, that was like the moment, I would say, where the coins started to fall down, because they started to explain to me many things. And that clinic was very different than other normal psychiatric hospital, because often they give you medicine, they make you sleep. Bye. Well, I'm exaggerating, but often it's that. That clinic, they had a swimming pool, they have horses, we had badminton, we were doing relaxation, meditation. Well, it didn't work for me, but anyway, they were giving us what we need. And we had also walking, meditation, or speaking in a group, not being anonymous anymore, sharing with people who are like you, depressed in a big group and crying, screaming, whatever you wanted, but you express yourself. That was a different level. And that's the moment when I started to embrace holistic therapy with the normal medicine. And that was the big change of my life. Then after that, the doctor told me, okay, you seems fine. I stayed a long time. What do you want to do with your life? I didn't know anymore. That was the big point where I was like, wow, I need to start a new life, but I don't know what, when, how. I didn't want to stay in Luxembourg anymore because that guy was still there. He was still violent even by distance, even if the police removed him from the house. He introduced himself later on in my house, and I found him into my wardrobe on the first floor. Just to tell you, at midnight, discovering this, you see a ghost. I was like, no way. Then I changed job. I was like, okay, changing job is good, go somewhere else. But he was following me. And one day I went out of my work and I saw him in front of me at the exit of my work. I said, wow, it's like I saw a ghost again. I was so terrified of him. And I went in again and I said to my colleague, say, you go out with your car? And she said, yes, why? Can I hide in your trunk? I think after that she said, Sabine is totally crazy, but anyway, that was the only option. I had to leave work. Imagine until it can go, Then I decided to move. That was the only option. And I knew that guy in Dubai will never come. Then I was like, yes, Dubai, that's the destination where I need to go. Because in his mind, because he's alcoholic, he's violent, womanizer, blah, blah, and he's doing a lot of BS, okay? In a country like here, you need to walk straight. You need to be honest and whatever. For him, this didn't work. I was like, yes, that's where I need to go. And I spoke about this with my psychiatric because I was still followed. They didn't want to let me go like that. And I said, listen, I have this. She said, yeah, would be great that you go on holidays and go to discover. Starting a new life into another country would be great, he says, but you must have a plan. So yes, I have a plan, a new finance career there, And that's how I started with Dubai. But arriving here, I was like, oh, yes, that's beautiful, that's nice, but my ghosts were still with me. Meaning all my trauma, it's not in few months in psychiatric hospital, even if they were good, that you can heal all your life. My first attempt to my life was at 28 years old. The last attempt was, if I'm not lying, because sometimes I'm not exact with date, must be around 38 years old. And I arrived in Dubai, I was, I think, 41, something like that. And my ghosts were still with me here. And this is why it's important, I need to emphasize that, to go to the root. Yes, it's painful because your ghost, meaning your trauma, your experience, People, even in your mind, memories are like ghosted you. And they follow you everywhere. You can go even in a monastery with the monk. They will follow you. It will not disappear like that. And today I'm explaining to my client these important things. They think, not all, but many, when they start their healing journey, one session, okay, I'm healed. But no, you cannot heal your life in 1 hour. I've been in psychiatric hospital for months, and I know many. I didn't heal all my life, and I arrived here, my ghost was waking up. And that's the moment I've made the decision, say, okay, I need now to embrace that and take the courage to face it. And that's when I discovered hypnotherapy. And I was like, interesting, I will follow all the courses. I started to follow the course of hypnotherapy because I wanted to heal. I was asking to be the demo all the time. I didn't care. I want to be the demo. Then I knew I would heal faster because I had so much to heal. Then this was not sufficient. I started to learn Theta Healing. I've done all the Theta Healing certification almost, except at the teacher level, to heal again. After that, I started reconnective healing, which is a form of energy. I've done Reiki, I've done magnetism, because I wanted to discover another way to be able to heal myself, to heal my big ghosts that were following me everywhere. After that, I've done shamanism. I've been certified level 2, level 2 in shamanism. And after that, I went to other different courses like transpersonal regression therapy, and you name it. The list is very long, and I had a lot to heal. And for me, it's transpersonal regression and shamanism that helped me to go deep to the root of the problem. The root, of course, is my childhood. That's where the problem is starting for me. Otherwise, I would not go so deep in my depression. I would be more solid, let's say like that, because I would be more whole. I was not whole at all. I was totally broken since my childhood. This is why I fall so deep into depression, and I've done many times. Now, I want to say to people, the most important part in your healing, no matter what happened to you, it's happening for you. But you don't understand that from the beginning. They have stages. You are the victim first. You say, why me? Why me? It's not why me. It's not things happening to me. It's things happening for you. Because somehow, I would say it's making you stronger. That's not the best example when I say it's making you stronger, but if you look at me today, I can say clearly, I'm unbreakable. Oh yes, I'm still crying. I'm emotional, I'm vulnerable, but I allow myself to be vulnerable today. I'm not like a rock with my big mask. No, you can read my emotion and I don't mind. I'm not ashamed for that, you know? And this is very important to understand for each and everyone. Let things coming out of you. That's very, very important to feel your emotion. That's very important to admit that they have an issue. Admit that, yes, I have a big challenge there. Look how I'm reacting in that situation. Or look how I become so fast sad. Something is not normal there. And that's the moment where you need to say, okay, I have a trigger. This is happening for me. This is why I emphasize this. This is happening for me, that trigger right now. Yes, I'm suffering, but I need to allow the pain to go out of me and search for the root. Because they have a root. They have a beginning. What is happening to us or our behavior, our extreme reaction, or some people that goes like whoo, into anger and they go, what is going on with you? You don't understand why. But behind this big anger of that person who went high directly, they have underlying issue that the person is in full denial, doesn't want to feel, doesn't want to hear, doesn't want to know. That's it. But the anger, when he went out, and very high like this, out of anger, if he is looking back And he said, oh my God, my reaction was extreme. This is a trigger. And that's the moment when you need to say, okay, my reaction was extreme. Here, something is wrong. And I need to take that trigger because the person triggered you. They have always something or someone triggering you. It's like, okay, let's look back from where this is coming from. When this happened for the first time that I was angry like this, or when someone is speaking about that subject, or someone is looking at me in a certain way, or someone moving in a certain way, it's triggering me. That's the moment when you need to think, oh, things happen for me to heal. And that's where many people don't understand. Because they are triggered, say, oh my God, what is going on? Go away, I don't want to hear, I don't want to know. No, you need to look from above and just take the trigger, say, wow, okay, trigger, stop. Sit and just say to yourself, if this is happening, it's happening for me because I need to heal something. Maybe something that I have denied for years. Or I didn't want to feel. It's time to let the emotion going out of you. It's time to feel, because to release an emotion and to get rid of that uncomfortable feeling, that pain, you need to feel it. And most of the time, people don't want to feel it. Some people are coming to me and like, okay, can you heal me like tak, tak, tak? No, it doesn't work like that. You need to feel it. Or I have some telling me after the session, oh my God, I cannot cope with it. It's worse than before. Say yes for 3 days. Maximum 3 days. Will not be more than that. After it will vanish. They have difficulties to accept, to let the emotion going out. And most of the time we have also the tendency to resist when we feel an emotion comes. No, I cannot cry. I cannot be angry. I cannot be sad. And we go to all the movies possible, but still denial. And we are at the same stage. And I've done this for many, many years. And when I finally opened, believe me, my healing journey was heavy on many, many different ways. And another case is that happened in Dubai, just to tell you that your ghosts are following you everywhere. One day, it was in 2018. And that's when I said, oh my God, I thought I was healed, but I'm not at all. I forgot that part. I've addressed many, but not that one. And my friend is telling me, listen, my daughter has been abused, la, 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 la. Oh, okay. And funnily, I felt like I know the subject. You get the point? I was a professional in that, but didn't happen to me. No, not me. It was not the case. And then she showed me pictures. I saw the pictures of the guy, and you know what? That guy had a backpack like the guy who did that to me. And that's the backpack and the position where, I don't know, the behavior he had on the pictures, the way how he was looking at the pictures and how he was keeping his bag on the pictures remind me. And then all opened. And all my ghosts were dancing, let's say like that. 3 days. I closed my door. I canceled everything. I was just crying. And that moment, it was like it's happening to me now. I'm abused now. And I'm feeling now what is going on everywhere in my body, in my mind, everywhere. I could not cope with that. Imagine I was more than 40 years old and I was experiencing physically, emotionally, and mentally what happened to me at the age of 12. Because I put my ghost in the grave. Delete button, finished. And this is why it's important to speak. I didn't do for years, and it followed me. And I had to face it. I've done, for sure. But yeah, that's important to speak, very important.
Like, first of all, I want to say that I think it's very brave that you're here today sharing with our audience. And I'm very happy, by the way, that you're still here. It is good that you can share your story with others, and I'm sure it must not have been easy to do. However, it'll help many. And like you said, everyone sees you as a strong woman. I see you like that. You are a woken warrior and a saving grace. And as you emerge from your story, from those particular events, knowing you're not a victim anymore, and how have you come out the other side? So yeah, like you said, the first thing what I hear when you tell me your story is, and how you realise what happened to you and what you were suppressing was filtering out in your life, how you were behaving, and as it unfolds and shifts, you look at your story through a different set of eyes. How men show up in your life was the consequences from unresolved trauma linked directly to your father. And now that you've healed through this, and as your life was previously triggering the constantly in order to address those wounds within and to heal it fully. I understand fully through my own experiences as well as many of my clients who have been abuse survivors themselves. They have said to me how hard it is at first, and that they don't realise what was happening to them at the time. Even if they felt like something was wrong, you think this is happening to everyone and that this is normal. And it's not until later on in adult life and through experiences that wounds begin to show up to be healed. And the fact is that often life circumstances push you to go back to those old wounded parts of you. And of course, nobody wants to go back there. And nobody wants to be triggered. But yeah, like you said, triggers bring you back to the root of the trauma. And in other words, the hidden wounds, the repressed parts, the parts that you've buried for so long in order to survive. And you said something specific regarding the last hospital. You told this the nurse, if I'm out of this hospital, I'll just do it again. And I think that's a moment that you were honest with yourself. And at that moment, you were ready to receive help. And I think just before that, it was like, okay, I'm fine. I'm going to go home. And I think you came to your breaking point, and that breaking point actually made you evolve tremendously and helped you move on and heal. So let's talk about suppressing your emotions. Talking about this subject is so important because it literally saved your life for a while. But with time, it can also ruin your life. As your body constantly manifests the need to heal, either in anxiety or other illnesses and diseases. And in the same way, you said do not talk about this with family. So yeah, often the family might not understand because they have an emotional attachment to you, or sometimes they went through the same thing, so they think, oh, just be strong, you're over-exaggerating. Because they didn't deal with it, and they dealt with it in a different way. So what I always tell my clients in a session, if you want to go and talk to someone, go to a stranger or talk to a therapist, because they listen without any judgment. They can listen to you and they can actually have a clear mind on it. So yeah, I'm very happy you're here, and I'm very happy we did this episode. I think we've run out of time right now, so we don't have any more time. But I think we should do another episode and go deeper into the healing and the actual trauma healing. And also trauma regression, which is actually transpersonal regression therapy. It's a miracle. By itself, the type of therapy, I don't know if there's anything in my life that doesn't help me more with my trauma than healing those sessions, to be honest.
I think for women, one important subject is speaking about the relationship with your own father that leads to your future relationship with men. And I learned through that, and now I'm even teaching my client through that to recognize the patterns. And I have many examples in transpersonal regression with many women who had a very specific relationship with the father that is mirroring in the future relationship with men and leads sometimes to a real disaster. Yeah, I think it's important to speak about this because many women are facing difficult relationship and they don't understand from where it's coming from.
Yes, I know. I can definitely relate to this one as I have experienced it myself. And we must do regular episodes, as I know we have so much more to talk about. And I hope that the viewers have enjoyed this first podcast episode as much as I have. I know it's a very deep and raw topic to touch on and what we have covered today, but I think it's important to delve into and talk about it, as it just shows that through living proof that you can live beyond your trauma, and through a lot of inner work and support that you can completely heal. And also by sitting here and listening to everything that you went through and the worst of traumas, it just really shows you how much you can change your life around and that anything is possible.
Everything is possible. Yeah. I'm the proof alive here, and I can tell you, after that, I never had any idea or thought about taking my life. And yeah, I want to continue to live. Today, I'm very, very happy. And I know my happiness is coming from inside. I don't need anyone to be happy today. I'm really joyful because I'm complete. I'm whole again.
I'm really, really happy to hear that. Like, truly. That makes me so happy that if you were not here, I would not be here either. So that's the impact that you have. So truly grateful and truly thankful. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will link everything down below where you can find Sabine. And if you want to have a therapy session or know more information about what she offers with her soul healing, her trauma healing, you can look everything up on the website. And thank you so much for watching us, guys. And I look forward to connecting with you soon.